The floor is yours.
Thank you very much for this question. Person, I hope that I have a chance today to speak Ukrainian, but I see you don't have. Можно?
I think we have consecutive interpretation, so that will take a bit longer. So if you speak Ukrainian, we hear it in the room. So in the room there will be interpretation, if I'm not mistaken.
But my colleagues on the panel, they don't hear me. Okay.
Let her speak English. She's good at it.
No, my English is not perfect. Sorry. Okay, I will read a little bit. Okay. Thank you very much for this question about State Agency of Energy Efficiency and Energy Saving of Ukraine. A little bit. You see. All state agency strategies go in line with European climate and energy policies. And energy efficiency and decarbonization unite these policies. Yeah. State Agency of Energy Efficiency is a multi-sectoral executive authority, and our ministers, Ministry of Environment, Ministry of Energy, Ministry of Recovery, shape policies, and State Agency implement these policies in life in our country. And we have ambitious goals in energy efficiency, energy sector, and climate sector in Ukraine. I want to mention about this because till 2030 we should achieve to reduce primary energy consumption 22% to reach 27% of energy from renewable sources, and reduce CO2 emission till 65%. But about the trust and how we want to achieve these goals in our country with help from our international partners, GIZ, UNIDA, UNDP. Thank you very much for your assistance and support for Ukraine and for state agency. But you see, during the war, our government, our members of parliament voted for the new law and created a fund of decarbonization and energy transmission of Ukraine. It is very important for Ukraine, and through this law we confirm for European community that that Ukraine follow to European way, green transformation of Ukraine, and rebuild with new principle energy efficiency the first, our country and our public sector. About a little bit about this fund, and because I mentioned it is very important, I hope, because we have a lot of challenges in the next year with the CBAM, and about fund. I would like to emphasize that the creation of such a tool has been talked about for a long time, but only this year during the war we managed to create this fund. The fund was created according to the European principle, the polluter pays, and which provides for the targeting of environmental taxes on energy efficiency and decarbonization, and is applied in 21 European countries. From January 1st next year, the fund will be filled at the expense of the CO2 emissions tax and directed to energy efficiency and decarbonization projects in various sectors of the economy. It is obvious that the first year of the fund work will be like a pilot. The projects that will be implemented at the expense of the accumulated funds will be quite simple and understandable for the main stakeholders during the wartime. But at the same time, we have enormous energy saving potentials in these sectors according to the National Action Plan, Energy Efficiency Action Plan of Ukraine until 2030. And to realize this potential, we are currently working on launching a complex and multi-component tool for energy efficiency transformation at all levels, the National Decarbonization Platform. Because through that platform we want to connect, link and develop our works with the regions. Because you know, in Ukraine before the war we finished decentralization, and I believe in our head of regions because they better knew how to develop and rebuild their regions, and they were close with the population in this location. And it should be about National Decarbonization Platform. It should be combined financial, technical and information components in this process, and will be accessible to the population, communities and businesses. And I invite international partners to help us to launch this platform, because we have on this platform Green University. We have Green University with your solutions, knowledges, how to develop this, move to green transition for Ukraine, how to rebuild and how to use energy, launch, implement energy efficiency measures in their location, marketplace for producers in energy efficiency equipments, and financial tools. It is the most important because we want to propose for municipalities, for population and for enterprises, leasing, factoring and other financial tools for attract funding and capital for rebuilding with new standard their enterprises and communities. And okay. Yes, I want to say about our initiatives in State Agency of Energy Efficiency. Besides, every day we try to implement with the high standards European directives in other spheres, in cogeneration, eco-design and biomass. And thank you very much our partners Dana and Ukrainian Germany partnership. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, Anna. Our next speaker on the panel is Roman Andrack from the Ministry of Energy, and also there the same request to think about the creation of trust in whatever we do, because that will be the measure of success in the end for investors. They need to trust, they need not only to understand what we are doing or what you are doing, but also they need to trust it.
Okay, thank you, Torsten, colleagues. Let's start first things first. I see that the panel is not very gender balanced. So
Anna is in the middle, so I mean, what can I do?
So to correct it a little bit, I would like to thank the Energy Club, Ukrainian Women's Energy Club, for organizing a meeting here that allowed participation in this event of my colleagues, Svetlana, Luba, Irina. They work, I would like to present them to you. They work with me on a daily basis, support us, and they were in Kiev on February 24, supporting the work of the ministry, ensuring its functionality. So there are indeed women in the Ministry of Energy that do a lot of, that contribute to the resilience of the energy system. Second thing, I would like indeed to thank European Commission, Secretariat, and to all of colleagues, to you, to companies, that support us with in-kind donations, with financial contributions. Without it, it wouldn't be possible. And for all of us, for you, for us, it's resilience. For us, it's a matter of survival. For you, it's an extra work that you do to help us to withstand. So big thanks from all of us from Ukraine for keeping our lights on. Third thing, I would like to ask a little bit the audience, who is representing German or international sector? If people can raise hands. Okay, thank you. My question would be then to Ukrainian audience. Can someone tell me or tell us what is the financing rate for Ukrainian banks for the moment?
Interest rate.
30%.
Exactly.
So 30%
30%.
interest rate in Ukrainian banks now.
So this is the situation, 30%, 3-0. This is the situation in which we're talking about investments and development of the energy sector. 579. Indeed, we tried to support a little bit the thermal generation because we needed to survive this winter to withstand it. And the government launched a so-called 579 program. It's more 9 than 5. When we compensate the difference between current financing rate, interest rate, and 9%. And how many loans were issued?
0.
Exactly. Because of the financial situation of the energy sector. We received a phone call from Chernigivskaya CHP asking for support, and we tell them, please use this mechanism. The answer was, we have 1.5 billion in debt. What bank will issue this? Issue any loan to this CHP? So when we talk about, as I said, investments in Ukraine, I would strongly request, this is the situation we're in, so the only opportunity for us is to make partnerships, is to create links with European companies to secure at least some affordable financing to have projects implemented in Ukraine and to develop energy sector, be it green, pink, gray, whatever it is, whatever color it has. Speaking, and then we're back to your question, Torsten, to the question about how we ensure security and trust. The answer was given by Deputy Minister Yaroslav Demchenko. This is the European integration, European rules, European regulations, European procedures. This is the strategic decision which was taken 6 years ago when we started discussions on the gas transit contract with Russia. There are still people in this room that participated in those discussions. I see Pavel Stanchak here. Adomas probably left, I don't see him, but nevertheless, the decision was taken that we conclude transit contract on the basis of EU rules. And we managed to carry these discussions through parliamentary elections, to presidential elections, and we managed to conclude the contract regardless of all attacks on the approaches that we had. And this is what we as a government that we offer. We offer understandable rules that work for 27 in the EU. Of course, they will work in Ukraine. To support this, we established a dialogue with the European Commission on energy markets integration. It consists of 3 pillars. One pillar is gas. Second pillar is indeed electricity, and in February we had the third pillar, which is renewable gases. Coming from the renewable and synthetic gases, I hear your message about biomethane. I think that together with Energy Efficiency Agency, when we are home, we will take a look and see how we can react to this request, because it's probably the strongest request from this meeting. On gas, with one success is, as I said, transit contract, and we calmly looking into the future, into the next year, because we understand that if there is any discussion, any negotiations about possible transportation of Russian gas. This transportation will be ensured on the basis of EU rules. Underground gas storages, also thank you to the Secretariat. The colleagues guided us in this process. Certification, and my minister spoke this yesterday and today about success of storing gas in Ukrainian underground storages at unprecedented levels. On electricity, it's a little bit more complicated. We have a roadmap, and slowly but steadily pursuing and implementing the necessary regulations and directives. And here there are additional business opportunities. So there is not only trade in electricity, but once we do it, we'll offer additional opportunities for doing business, for participating in balancing markets, Picasso platform, Mari platform, Terra, whatever is interested. So there will be additional opportunities for providing services to European consumers and also trading those services cross-border. So this is my answer. I hope it satisfies.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. So the next speaker is Sergei Tsivkach, who has probably the best overview in Ukraine about the real investments or the real interest of investments of non-Ukrainians into Ukraine, and who can also judge about the level of trust in the different sectors, in the different areas. And I would like you to also reflect on the level of trust in the energy sector. Is it different from other sectors when you talk to people in Berlin, in Washington, wherever? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the invitation. Trust question, very important one. I have a tricky answer. Building trust, it's about building trust.
But you have 5 minutes.
And I have the answer to that. But yeah, I'll do in 5 minutes. So building trust is about state being public, state being responsive to requests of businesses. Well, we have public officials here, they represent Ukraine, and Ukraine has done a lot. We are getting closer to EU membership, we're doing a lot in that way. But that's the only foundation, because you have to deliver on your promises. You need to make sure that your country is enabling for businesses. And then the end result of the trust is private investment. Private investment is very sensible to conditions in the country. If there is no trust, there is no private investment. I can talk about several agencies in Ukraine that are doing that, they're changing the country, but because, for example, Anna is here, I will speak about agency just for 2 seconds, and I'll give you one story. We have one of the biggest investments in Ukraine now. They were the first ones to leave Russia and the first ones to announce significant investment in Ukraine. Energy efficiency producer of manufacturing of construction materials. Irish global company Kingspan, 8 billion euros annual revenue, very significant player. They have the best products. So they were planning investments, and we as a one-stop shop for foreign investors in Ukraine, our responsibility is to be a communicator between investor, between state officials, between businesses, central, regional level, and so on. So one of the meetings that they requested was with the State Agency of Energy Efficiency. And I can tell you that after the meeting, they decided to increase investment, to build new factories. That means they had more trust after the meeting. So that is a very good example. Thank you, Anna, for doing that, and your team, because this is important. And now they have decarbonization platform, and the company will put their best materials for Ukraine, because they see that the regulations are being updated and the change is happening. That's about practical example. And now about the country. I will tell you which country has most trust in Ukraine. And this is Germany. And I'll tell you why. Because you are the biggest foreign direct investor in Ukraine. Not by figures, because number one is Cyprus, Netherlands, Switzerland, but you understand this is a round-tipping investment from many countries. And then we have number four. Number four is Germany, and you invest in manufacturing, in energy projects as well. That means that you have trust. So thank you for trust in Ukraine. Thank you to Germany. Thank you very much. Then I can answer your questions more, or we stop on trust.
No, I mean, you also wanted to make a statement, I think, an
Okay,
introduction.
the general, okay. So Ukraine, we are not in easy shape. Everyone understands energy sector, it's a pillar, it's a foundation for development of manufacturing and logistics and infrastructure as well. We talked about that with the Ministry of Energy, with Deputy Prime Minister on reconstruction of Ukraine, with CEO of Naftogaz. So we are getting ready for the winter. It will not be a walk in the park, but we will walk through that park, trust me, because we are ready to respond to all issues that we have. One comment to Dirk's message. He mentioned D words: decarbonization, decentralization, very important words. We have one more word that we need to remember now: de-occupation. And thanks to German support and message of Chancellor Scholz yesterday, so we are certain that this support is still going on, it's happening, and it is very, very important. So another thank you to Germany. Thank you very much for this. You are with us on our team. So foreign direct investment in Ukraine. It was a deep dive, negative deep dive in 2022. 2021, $7.3 billion. 2022, minus 328. So $7.6 billion in a year. Can you imagine the figure and effect on the economy? 3.5 million jobs we lost just because of the war. But now looking at figures of 2023, we already passed $3 billion of FDIs since the beginning of this year, positive. So we're getting back there. Of course, a lot of that comes from reinvestment, and it's good because the companies they trust. Well, some of them they cannot maybe send dividends abroad due to the policy. This will be changed, but they still reinvest. So this is happening. And I can tell you, as the head of Ukraine Invest, the agency that works with investors, and all greenfield projects that are coming to Ukraine, they're coming through us. Since 2020, we supported attraction of $1.7 billion into different sectors of economy. So I need to tell you that now we have more investment requests than pre-war. Well, pre-war was a pandemic year, so it was not an easy thing as well, but we have way more requests for greenfield projects, for manufacturing facilities. And when we talk about energy, we need to think about connecting our systems even closer. We have ability to introduce big investment projects to export electricity to European Union, because we have capacity, and we hope to get to full capacity soon when we will do de-occupation and we will be able to produce more electricity in Ukraine. So this is happening. Thank you for your trust, but we also need to have your belief in our victory. We have it, and you should have it. So you should have it as well. If you will have it, you will be able to make your decision to invest in Ukraine more easier. Please come to us, and we'll be happy to support you. Thank you.
Thank you, Sergei. Now Robert Kirchner is also this kind of macro view, but from the other side, more from the economic side. And I think this is also an element of trust. If you know where you're going, and we mentioned, the EU framework, we mentioned the relationships, that have been built up. But I would be glad if you could also explain a bit on the, let's say, economic side. Where should the first investments happen? What, apart from the government policy, but from a sort of economic rationality point of view, what should happen first? What are the next steps?
Yeah, maybe let me take one step back. Thanks for this question. Ukraine has a lot of experience with market reforms in the energy sector since 2014. Yeah, the association agreement was a big step forward in terms of European integration. It is being implemented with clear progress. Ukraine is a member of the energy community, now an accession country. So work has been going on. Obviously, the war created completely new challenges, which focus the attention of policymakers much more on the short term, on survival. That is absolutely correct and important. It had obviously the implication that a lot of projects are being funded by public money, by donors, yes. And what is needed, obviously, after Ukraine's victory is to switch back to this predominantly private sector perspective, because all this money that is needed for the transition of the energy sector, but I would say the whole economy, runs into the hundreds of billions of dollars. I think this is also the number that is in the energy strategy. And this will be mainly done by private money, right? And then we are, again, at the issue of trust. And here I see a couple of building blocks, general building blocks. One is market reforms. De Buschle mentioned already price caps. I would also say tariffs need to be touched upon. It has been already mentioned this morning or the afternoon by Mr. Butenko. If we don't have cost-covering tariffs in all areas of the sector, it's hard to convince an investor to put in new money if he is losing by selling his goods, right? I totally see the social policy implication in that. Ukraine is one of the poorest countries in Europe, and the war made that even worse. That needs to be addressed, absolutely. But there are instruments for that, to decouple social policy objectives from the pricing issue. I think this is really one area where policymakers going forward need to put a lot of work on. We had good experience in Ukraine with the housing utility subsidy system, which was introduced after 2014. So I'm quite confident there is a lot of already good practice. But again, this is for me a major issue. Again, trust, convincing investors to bring their money here. They need to make a risk-adjusted return on investment. And this creates also other problems in other sectors of the economy, because basically subsidizing here means you need the money from somewhere, and then Ukraine is a country at war currently and needs the money also for obviously other purposes. So that's an issue. Then what has been mentioned already, financing constraints. Yeah, the policy rate is now at 19% from the National Bank, but commercial bank rates are much higher, as Roman said. And we have also obviously no really access to the external markets. Ukraine was before borrowing a lot, the sovereign, but also corporates. Sovereign doesn't have market access at the moment. Corporates is also very difficult, maybe for some exporters, but in general not. So we need to address financing constraints with IFEs, with donors. And I would also put the war risk insurance topic here again on the agenda. You've been working on that. There were pilot projects, something is going on. Germany has a very good instrument. Because we are talking about really capex-heavy projects here, especially when we talk about renewables and other bigger investments. And this also helps to address the fears of investors that these objects are being destroyed or attacked or whatever. So there's a kind of complex bundle. I would argue that a credible market liberalization, market reform agenda, which is in line with European objectives, and the good thing is we have this kind of path already kind of charted, that this probably addresses in a very good way the possible concerns of investors, of private investors, and if this is done, implemented successfully, then I think this money will come and investors will reap these opportunities because they are huge, as you rightly said.
Yeah, thank you very much. The last speaker on the panel is Tony Reynolds from Biogas. And I mean, you are working in the German Energy Agency, trying to help with, this partnership on renewable gases, etc. And from your point of view, because now we understand that in Ukraine there will be some work. I understand that also in Berlin, hopefully there will be some work, because it takes two to tango. But on the Ukrainian side, what would you see, I mean, from the, let's say, more biogas perspective, what does it not only take to make it legal, but to make it a trusted business?
I always think that the trust is there on the Ukraine side and also on the German side. It's more about the security for business models. In the end, when we think about the example of biomethane, investment will be done in next year, so that's not the big issue, I guess, and it's more the question what kind of sales possibilities I will have in future, because many off-takers in Germany are interested in buying Ukrainian biomethane, and there are some interesting market possibilities. I don't know if someone mentioned it already. Ukraine is really interested in the German transport sector with this subsidy scheme, greenhouse gas emission quota. At the moment, really low prices, so not so attractive for biomethane at the moment, but there are also other possibilities, for example, the German heating market, which is, so Germany has a big share of gas in the heating market, and with that, of course, in future we will need more renewable gases to fulfill our targets. And the situation is that we in Germany don't have the capacities to actually cover all the demand could be there if the circumstances, especially from an economic point of view, will suit to the biomethane business model. So that's not the big thing, but there are some detailed issues with the legal frameworks in Ukraine and also in Germany, just for example, and even on a European level. In Ukraine side, it's still a bit unclear the situation, how they will deal with their customs service, so that they will accept the export of the biomethane, and also in future for hydrogen, it will be the same for green hydrogen. And in Germany, then of course we struggle a bit with that. That is a bit unclear, even in the European Union framework, how we deal this imports and export of biomethane. Will you count it on your target from the country of origin, or can the receiving country use it for their statistics and so on? And the problem is the same with a third country situation like Ukraine. And those things at the moment bring some insecurity to the market. If there wouldn't be enough trust, no one would be interested to do it any further. But there's enough trust there to invest in that business model with renewable gases, and there are a lot of opportunities, not only in Germany, also for Switzerland is highly interested to import biomethane from every country you can think of. So that's not the big thing. And yeah, but what I also just can give us a hint for the Ukrainian side, you should always be aware of the developments on a European level to have the trust that you can fulfill all the requirements. For example, the European market will incentivize especially renewable fuels with high GHG mitigation. I heard several times that biomethane production in Ukraine will have a higher share of energy crops, which maybe is not so interesting in the long term. At the moment, it's not a problem, but in long term, so I guess there are enough possibilities for the investment is there, and it's a new question more or less to find the right off-taker. And here's always the hint from my side: don't just go with one off-taker, at least two, because it's always it's still in niche market, the renewable gases, and it's all sometimes not clear, will that energy supplier be there next year, or does he have to shut down? It's always a question of the price developments, and here's the German transport market goes with high volatile prices. The heating market offers more stable prices, so maybe you should diversify your portfolio, something like that, to secure your investment.
Thank you very much for this very positive message that the trust is there. And I think if we have this level of trust in all the endeavors that we have discussed already during the day, and we will still discuss in the next session, I think we will make huge progress. I asked the Maître de Plaisir, how much time do we have? Because I had prepared questions for each member of the panel, but if I have time for one question? Yes? Okay, so one question. So I will spare you with all my questions. But one question for everyone, because Anna Zamazeva mentioned that Ukraine is building a decarbonization fund, a decarbonization platform, all these things. And in order to be useful, that needs trust. So what would be your advice, not to me, but to Anna, to have the trust that is needed to make it work? Whoever wants to start.
Make the first project happen.
Good answer.
Then it's going to work. But can I just 30 seconds on biogas and biomethane? I will narrow down the trust question to biogas and biomethane trusts. So how we can trust in that. So now we have amendment to the law on state support for investment projects in Ukraine. And biogas and biomethane was included in the scope of the law. Anyone who invests now 12 million euros or more in these projects will be able to get up to 30% of state support, custom duties relief on equipment, corporate income tax relief, and also now Ukraine included 3 billion hryvnias in the budget of Ukraine for the next year for this project to be compensated for connection to electricity, gas, water supply, building of roads and railways where needed. And also you will have a special investment agreement where you can choose dispute resolution mechanism, you can choose the business conditions will be fixed for the duration of this contract, and this is for up to 15 years. And also, if any losses will be caused by the state of Ukraine actions at any level, you will be compensated by the state. So this is the risking and building trust in biogas and biomethane specifically, and all other sectors. Please do apply within here.
Yeah, maybe two very short remarks. One is on Anna's fund. I would be more concerned on the financing side, and I would say make sure that you get steadily more money into it, because I mean carbon taxation in Ukraine is like 1% of what we have in the EU, and we know already that when Ukraine will exceed eventually, I mean these prices have to be aligned. So we now have to be really thinking hard about a credible, steady increase in this that sort of balances also the capabilities of companies to carry this burden, but also make sure that there is a steady stream of income getting into it. I think that's very important, because that's a signal for companies already now, today, when they're investing. And the second comment, back to Torsten's question in the beginning, what are priority areas and so on? I would say if we look in this medium-term private sector-driven reconstruction of the energy sector, it is not for us to decide what is now the hot topic. Is it biomethane? Is it hydrogen? Is it whatever? It is about setting the right conditions for private investors to deploy their capital in those areas where they see the biggest opportunities. This is something that I think it's a very important guiding light, especially when we come from this wartime economy, which needs to be more like manually controlled by the government. But eventually, we just want to set framework conditions. We want to remove regulatory barriers, not just here, but also in areas, and then let private investors decide where they want to deploy their capital and carry also the risk. If they fail, okay, then they lost their money.
You volunteer?
I just can add something to it. You know, I found the idea really great. You know, be as much technically open as possible. At the moment, of course, everything is speaking about biomethane and the options we have there. Investment support will be there. That's wonderful. And will create then some business models, but it could be happened in other sectors as well, of course, and therefore it should be always as open as possible, the investment support. So that's it.
And can you take the last, because I want to have these two gentlemen first, and then.
Okay, you get two more recommendations, because everything's interlinked. I mean, get involved as you are already in the planning, in the policy making. Make sure you create demand for your services. That, for instance, and that's what Robert mentioned, would mean also that the energy prices need to come closer to cost reflectivity. And the second one would be the governance. The proof is in the pudding, Sergey is right, but the pudding needs to come in a solid container.
Well, if I may, I believe the elephant in the question is certification and registration procedure. And here I think that we have no right to fail. It is very important that we have a credible and robust certification and registration procedure. So my advice would be to involve a credible international partner to build this system and to back this system. Because if it fails, if it's compromised, the entire industry will go bust.
Anna, so now the most difficult part.
I want to show you example about trust. Do you know we signed MOU between DENA and SAE, yeah? Do you trust SAE? Yes, you see?
Well,
Okay.
but Tony, I can tell you, he seems to be a trustful person.
Okay, and I have a next question. Are you ready to give to us your register of biomethane?
Not yet.
Yes, of course, as a gift. license free, as we discussed yesterday, and of course amended to your legal requirements.
You see, and we should finish. We are working actually every day, and I start my day from the biomassing topic, and we discuss it every day with our team Dana and Saya, and I hope we will launch this register of biomass in this year for our market, and we show this level of trust between Germany and Ukrainian side.
Thanks a lot. Last remark from my side, because I see already we are getting thrown out of our podium. I would like to underline also what Roman said, that it is not enough to have trust between officials. The businesses have to have trust. And for this, I mean, who do businesses normally trust? It's certifiers. If you have a certified business, you don't really care where it is, because you don't need to understand all the details. So my advice, even though I'm the moderator, would be exactly the same as Roman's. Thank you very much, and I hope we will... Okay, thanks a lot.
Thank you very much, Torsten Vollert. And I hope we can discuss, continue these discussions in the break. We've had representatives from government, politics, and implementers. And after the break, the GIZ's Miriam Fallvetter will be discussing the role of communities and civil society. We'll be breaking until 5:15.